And what led you to write that first song? Because I'm curious. I want to know what led you to your first co-writing session with a different artist.
Good question. Starting to network, which I didn't do as an artist, right? I was very much like, I want to control this whole process from writing. I'm going to write by myself. I'm going to record this in my garage. I'm going to buy all the shit I need. I'm going to mix it myself.
One man against the world.
Just nightmare like situation, right? Like it's like the number of people that can do
thinking about that.
all of that stuff and do it well enough to create a good product. Or there's like maybe a handful in the world, right?
Prince.
Right. Like the Calvin Harrises of the world. Like there's not many people that can do that. Not to put Prince and Calvin Harris in the same sentence, but I think it was starting to connect with people, other musicians, and recognizing that, you know what? I'm good at some things. I'm not good at a lot of these things. And by collaborating with other people who are good at those things, you know, starting to work with other musicians and producers, that opened my eyes to like, if you can take your ego out of whatever the fuck it was that made me need to control the whole process and say, I'm good at some of this stuff. I think I had realized that I wasn't going to be a successful artist, at least on the path that I was on. And that realization was like, okay, what do I love about making music, and how can I, you know, just run experiments, like you said, you know, run simulations. And then that led to like just through those connections, it led to the first co-writing session. And instantly that was like magic for me. Whatever, all the negative stuff that I brought up before about like that connection between like the external drivers, and like the external sort of like, requirements from like a productization of music perspective, they went away. And for some reason I was able to protect myself, much like you said in your own process. You're able to completely shield yourself from all that stuff when you're making the music. And then as soon as you flip that switch, you go into like, let's get this into as many people's hands. And you're probably not thinking at that point, like, let's generate as many dollars as possible. Let's get this into as many ears as possible. Let's find as many people to connect with this piece of art that I just made, which is totally the right way to look at it. And obviously the irony is that leads to revenue at the end of the day. So yeah, I think whatever it is that makes you an artist and makes you love that process and makes you really good at what you do and authentic at what you do, I went through that similar transformation, but just in a different way.
And so I guess when you were doing everything alone, you were in your bubble. As soon as you left your bubble, and I'm sure right away, as soon as you started to work with other people, your interaction with your environment, your expression changed.
100%.
It found where its placement was. You know, going all the way back to the social integration, when you were doing everything alone by yourself, you didn't know what you were exactly, or you thought you'd be something, right? Because you were thinking about it. But as soon as you went into the playing field with others, you found your spot right away, and you became the QB there.
Yep.
You know, you became first liner, songwriter. You know how to keep the lightning in the bottle, because that's how you were explaining the song. You don't want to bastardize it.
Right.
You know, because often like, well, I don't know, because I only write fucking hits, right? So, but
for other artists, yeah.
You want to keep that going. You don't want to overdo it, and that's your strength.
You lose a lot of objectivity, which you need, I think, in art as well as in business, because you're just so emotionally connected to that central initial idea, and you're not as amenable to that idea changing in the ways that it will have to change if it's to interface with the world in some valuable way. And that's true for songs as well, right? Like the initial idea for the song, a lot of the time that initial idea is great, but it's the way that you shape and mold and build around that, you know, if you want to connect with your fan base or with people who are listening to the music, like stuff has to align in a certain way. And it's really hard to predict how that happens if you're so connected to the initial idea. I mean, it happens even like on a macro scale, like with demos, right? Like the more you listen to
demoitis,
the demoitis, exactly. The more you listen to that and kind of ingrain that, like even a really positive change to it is still a change. So there's some part of your ego that's like, I don't like it. It's not good.
Yeah. A negative bias towards something that changes.
For sure. Yeah. Which you, as a writer, I mean, you still have that because like you write stuff and sometimes the artist doesn't like it, or someone listens to it and they're like, I don't know about that line. And you're like, that's a great line. You're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
But I have it a lot less than I did like as an artist. And I've always been sort of afraid to put myself out there. And for some reason, because I guess it's because there's like one other layer between what you've written and the people listening to it, right? It's almost like I can hide behind like the artist. It's their song. They're putting their name on it. They're putting their face on it. They're the ones that this is my song. I identify with this song. This is, part of me as an artist. And I'm just kind of like in the shadows.
Because they're selling it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Maybe you're not the salesperson. Right? They're the salesperson. They're the vessel for your creation, right?
Yeah.
So you're the engineer. You help mold the product, but then you hand it off to the person who's going to go sell it. Who essentially is the singer,
right?
Like me.
Yep.
I work with pros in the studio. I work with great producers and songwriters, and it's up to me to sell it. And that's just the way it is. But I'm a sales guy. I'm a salesman.
And you have the courage to stand behind your product. And it's one that is in line with who you are as a person and like represents like you as a person. So that's like even more courage to do that, right?
Totally.
So yeah, I guess I didn't have that courage.
Well, I don't know if it's not that courage. It's just a different skill set, right? You don't, everyone has a unique set of skills. And so I don't think it's courage. I think it would, like, I'm not being courageous by doing it. It's just how I am.
Right.
You're not being courageous by writing songs. You're just doing what you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a matter of understanding who you are.
Totally.
And what you're good at.
Yeah. I think if I was meant to be an artist, I would have found the courage to put myself out there, and I wouldn't have given a shit or I would have cared, but I would have pushed through it anyways. So
totally.
Yeah. I think I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
You're exactly where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.